Welcome everyone to the next installment of the Collaborative Circle. My name is Jackie Caputo. I'm a collaborative attorney from the Long Island Collaborative Divorce Professionals, and I'm joined today by my friend and colleague, Amy Reinstein-Augenstein. Amy is both a collaborative attorney as well as in the role of a family support specialist because she is a licensed clinical social worker. Amy, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jackie.
So Amy, I guess we'll just start off by having me ask you how you came into this unique role that you find yourself in professionally of being both qualified to be the collaborative attorney and the family support specialist in a collaborative case.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for having me today. And I'm so happy to be talking about a field that I love so much. I started out my career as an attorney, and I worked in the appellate court in New York State, and I was in the role of reviewing a lot of matrimonial appeals. And as a young attorney, even then, without much experience, I saw how some of these cases never ended in the court system. It could be 5-10 years later, and there was still an argument, maybe just over one issue. And the participants were coming back to court and asking a judge to rule on the matter. And I thought that was a difficult way, to have to dissolve a marriage. Later on, I took a little bit of a break, went back to school and became a licensed clinical social worker and practiced therapy for a number of years. And during that time, I worked a lot with families in transition, families that were going through divorce, adults perhaps whose parents divorced when they were younger. And I was seeing a lot of the effects of divorce on their lives in a personal way, more personal than in the court system. So about 15 years ago, when I decided to kind of collaborate on my two fields of law and psychology, I became trained as a mediator and also as a collaborative divorce attorney, and really do this kind of work because I really want to help families in the best way possible. And I believe this is a better way.
Right. I mean, I think it's so interesting that you've been able to combine these two areas that you have expertise in to really make it work for you professionally and also for you to help the families the way that you do. We've worked together before, and so I've really been able to witness what a unique perspective you bring to the process as having experience in both areas. So Amy, I guess from the perspective of the collaborative attorney, I'm interested to hear more about why you feel that collaborative is the best option for a family going through divorce.
Jackie, the collaborative process is really unique. A lot of people don't know about it, aren't aware of it. And even when they read about it, they don't, I think, get the full picture of what the experience is like until they're in the process. And I could tell you, being there, it is such a supportive process. The attorneys that are there, yes, you have an advocate for each spouse or partner, but it's in a very supportive way, where it's a very calm experience, I think, for most of the families. You're not sitting there with another attorney who's trying to kind of ratchet things up or, kind of impose a win-lose mentality. So it's a very different experience than what I have seen in a litigated model.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've had the same experience of litigating first and really seeing how it is a calmer, more reasonable and a process. And also I feel it brings more control to the parties. Would you agree with that?
I completely agree. And that control is so important. Again, when the courthouse closes or, the attorneys leave, these individuals have to go on with their lives and make decisions on a day-to-day basis. And them feeling like they have more control, that they can talk things over and resolve things is so beneficial to them. And if I may say, for their children, when children are involved. That's a big focus for me. The therapeutic work that I did, I really saw the impact that divorce can have on children. And when I say children, I don't just mean children now. I mean, I would sit in a room as a therapist with adults, and they would tell me about their experiences as children. And in the situations where they saw, tremendous conflict between their parents, or where they felt pulled between one parent or the other, or maybe they were given too much information by one or both parents about the situation. Some were alienated from the other parent. These now adults, once children, have difficulties even now, years and years later, with forming their own relationships, with trusting people, with anxiety, with depression. And, I want to help families minimize or even avoid it altogether. And I believe the collaborative process is a way to do that.
Right. And that is something that you have learned through your work as a licensed clinical social worker. Amy, have you also you've worked with children in your practice as well?
I've worked with a lot of tweens, teenagers, and, depending on where children are and at what stage of development, of course, divorce affects them differently, but it can certainly interfere with their developmental milestones that usually are achieved at a certain point, and it could delay them and interfere with them. So, again, when we work in the collaborative process, every member of the team, whether it's the family support specialist, whether it's the attorneys, and whether it's even the financial neutrals, they're all very mindful of, making the process one in which, we minimize stress. We afford the participants a really good opportunity to talk to each other and really help them understand the other's perspective. And, ultimately, this not only helps their children because they can, be calmer, less stressed, but it also helps them.
Right. That's true. That's true. They come to better solutions is what I find, more specific, detailed solutions to the problems that they'll be confronted with when they're going through a divorce.
Absolutely, Jackie. And, it's very interesting because this was really highlighted to me during, the difficult COVID experience that we've all had over the last, year and a half. I had clients who had done collaborative and then COVID hit. And in several instances, jobs were completely changed, whether there was a loss of a job or suddenly one or both spouses was working from home. There were infant children at home, and all of a sudden the parenting schedule needed to be changed. One parent in particular had to go out of state, and these clients were able to adjust. They were able to make decisions. There was no courthouse to run to. There were no motions to be heard. And they had learned through the process, how to work with each other to, come to a solution that worked for both of them. And that was so rewarding for me to see that, even after, the matter is resolved, their lives go on and they have to work things out. And I believe that this model is one in which, they will be, immensely helped.
Right. Right. It's so true. Divorce is not a business transaction. It's layered, it's complex. It involves all aspects of these families' lives, and it's evolving. And so this is a good tool to have to carry the family through that transition. I couldn't agree more. Amy, thank you so much for joining me today. I would invite everyone out there that's watching to visit our website or to reach out to any of the professionals in our group to learn more about the collaborative process. We'd be so happy to answer any questions.